And for the sake of time, let's just go ahead and get started. Now, let me know if you can see my screen once I'm sharing, because sometimes I'll just start talking and y'all see Google. All
I
right,
can see
We
it.
can see it.
we're on it. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm gonna make it a little bigger because one, I'm going to put my glasses on, but so everybody can see. Okay. Groups. Groups is very important when it comes to counseling. Um, it started very early. Groups actually started. Do anyone know why groups got started? We're gonna get into it, but just a quick overview.
I might be wrong, but did it have something to do with World War II? It wasn't.
Yes, have confidence because that is so right. World War II, that's when groups kind of got started because they didn't have enough counselors to counsel individuals. So they was like, hey, let's just put them all together. They got the same problem. So yes, that is absolutely right. World War II is when groups kind of got started. The person who coined the term in group therapy would be Jacob Moreno. Moreno and his wife, they were big on psychodrama. Sound just like that. It was a lot of role play, a lot of enactment, a lot of things to the point they considered um, clients to be um, like appointed people that's in an acting role, like the director and the procate. I mean, all of those protagonists and all of that was big on them. They coined the term. However, the preface of group therapy was our beloved Alfred Adler. Alfred Adler, of course, he was big in the family therapy, RAM and everything like that. So group therapy was his thing. When he did a lot of group work with the family and understanding, of course, you got the birth orders and you had to work with the family to see who did what and they're feeling inferior. I mean, feelings inferior and need to be superior, and social connectedness was his big deal. So Alfred Adler was the preface of group therapy movement. Um, Here's the memory device. I mean, if you want to use it, we just always remember that Alfred was the preface. And the person who coined the term group therapy would be Jacob Moreno, and he is in psychodrama. Then we have Ivan Yalom. Where else do we see Yalom?
He's an existentialist, right?
He's an existentialist. And remember, I talked about was I think many of you were in the last group study with me, and how I spoke about existential therapy and how existential therapy is starting to become a really good one. Those are those big questions like why am I here type questions, what's my purpose? And that anxiety is accepted in existential therapy, that you should experience it because they say that it's a human way of feeling things and you should feel anxiety. That means that something is happening and you can feel it. Now you know how to fix it, right? So he coined the 11 curative factors, okay? Yalom talked about um, altruism, and that's giving back to the group society without expecting anything from anybody. That's just basically being a good human, right? You giving off things and not expecting anything from anyone. You're just genuinely giving it because that's just what you want to do. Universality, basically saying you're not alone, that other people in the group can be going through the same thing that you're going through. And it just shows universality within the groups. Um, Another word that's close to universality will come up, but I'll put them together so it's easy to remember. Then you have interpersonal learning. Remember, inter means with everyone, intra would be within myself, right? So interpersonal learning around everyone, that's finding out about themselves and others and seeing how things work. You got in imparting information, straight up teaching. Developing socialization techniques, that's basically modeling and just knowing how to be around other people and understanding what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, being social. This was big in people, especially around the time, I mean, I didn't think it would be hard for me, but I'm a social person, but someone who's very hard at being socially connected with people after COVID-19, they kind of had to be taught how to be social again, you know? Some people probably have fears and phobias of talking to people, might be contracting something, don't know how to talk to people because they were in a bubble for such a period of time. For me, it was very easy, but for other people, like introverted people, that kind of was like a heightened anxiety moment that I have to go out and talk to people when people basically was the problem, right? So developing the socialization technique, and that's just basically interacting with others. Imitative behavior, that's modeling another's behavior or mannerism. Some people actually have to look at people to understand how to do certain things or behaviors. And most of the time, the counselor will model certain behaviors, and then the client or the members will have to learn how to do it as well. And that's all that is. And then there's group cohesiveness. That's when everybody is getting along, everybody come together, you start to be a family, you know, you wouldn't let anybody else talk about, you know, in some groups they probably start saying, it's my sister, and, you know, things like that. Cohesiveness is a huge word in group. It happened in different stages of group. We'll see this word a lot. This is when the group is starting to trust each other. They are starting to want to work it out with each other. They start to be able to let out their personal feelings and things around people that are not so much of strangers to them anymore. So that's good. And then oops, I'm letting people catharsis, however you say it.
Catharsis.
Catharsis, yes. I just woke up, guys. I'm sorry. Catharsis. And everybody know what that is. That's a Freudian kind of word. And that's literally a release of emotion. That's screaming. That's crying. That's breaking down. That's just doing whatever you need to release an emotion that you probably kept in for a very long time, right? And then there's corrective recapitulation of primary family groups, and that's members that may come to view the group as a second family. That's around that cohesiveness part, you know. Some of these group members might not have anyone else in the world, and then they come and then they start to see the group members as a family, and that makes a positive influence. And think about it, they're here, they're working things out together, they're crying together, they're fighting at the beginning, they're doing all these things, and then something beautiful happens out of it. Installation of hope, and that's encouragement that recovery is possible, especially in groups where in your 12-step groups, some people that have depression in some of the groups, just know that there is hope, that people, it's universality. People go through the same things you do. You're not the only one that's going through things. And once they see other people working through their problems or working through this, it's a sense of hope and encouragement that comes. And y'all brought that in, that should be a thing. And then, of course, existential factors. He's an existentialist. That life and death are realities, because what they say in existential therapy is if someone is aware of death, then they would do whatever they have to do what they're supposed to do here on earth now, knowing that death is it will come around, right? So you have the potential to do whatever you need to do now before that happens. And then of course they have to throw that in there because he's one of the existentialist therapists, right? Any questions on the 11 curative factors? If not, we keep rolling. And then there's Corey. Corey, he talked about the core skills that a counselor, group counselor should have. And most of these skills we are used to. Most of these skills are skills that a counselor should have anyway. But there is two that I want to point out to you. So there's that active listening. Remember, an active listening is not just listening, but it's also reflecting to someone. It's listening with congruence and actually making head movements and understanding them, and then giving summaries and things like that. All of these things are a part of all of that. And when you're reflecting something to someone, you just want to make sure that you understand what they're saying, and you want them to understand that you know that you're trying to understand what they're saying, if that makes sense. But with reflecting and summarizing, you kind of want to be careful to not say the client's word verbatim, because then that turns into parroting, and you don't want to be a parrot. That's something very negative. The client can take it as didn't I just say that? And they can get frustrated, and that's kind of like a myth that counselors do, just repeat whatever you said right back to you, and you don't want to do that. Clarifying is totally okay. And that can be in the lines of saying something like, "Can you help me understand that a little bit better, so I can make sure that I'm grasping everything that you're saying." Just clarifying to make sure you heard what you heard, right? Facilitating, then emphasizing, in group, we have to be the facilitator. And then it depends on what leadership role that you would take. If you're going to be a facilitator that would be a authoritarian, or you'll have a Democrat or a laissez-faire. However, you have to make sure that the group is still going, and make sure that we're getting to a goal, that agreed upon goal together. Then you got interpreting. That's kind of in the lines of reflecting and summarizing, but you're interpreting kind of what they said back to them. Blocking. Blocking is huge in group. This is when you want to stop a situation from happening before it happened. Simple, right? Blocking. I'm going to block something from going left that can ruin the whole group, or can ruin the whole moment, or can ruin something. So you kind of want to step in at that moment, especially if you're, because most of the time the group is going to run itself. However, you have to be there and attentive to understand when it's time to block and stop someone from going crazy or being attacked or any of those things. Initiating is initiating, questioning, and then linking. Linking is important. Linking would be in the lines of someone going through something, right? Susie just got a divorce, and she is like feeling like this is the worst thing that could have ever happened to her, that she feels like she's gonna die, and she might be explaining that she feels that way. And you kind of remember John saying the same thing last session, or maybe 2 sessions before, and knew that he was going through something too in the lines of divorce, and kind of say, "Hey, John, remember when you were feeling, you kind of said the same thing. I had the same feeling like Susie. How did it feel when you did it? Can you help her kind of understand that hope is coming?" Or having anything that is unique to one another, you link them together. Okay, that's what linking is. Confronting is when you're calling a group member or a client out on maybe a behavior they're not seeing, and you kind of call them out therapeutically, call them out on it and make them see it in a different way. Supporting, of course, we're going to support. Assessing, then there's that modeling. Sometimes we would have to model, like for instance, in the curative factors, you have to model certain behaviors, or even if you're throwing out a technique you want them to do, you would have to model it for them if they're not fully understanding, or if you want them to do it a certain way, not saying you're authoritarian, but a little bit, then that's when that modeling would come in. Suggesting, maybe suggesting that someone goes first, or even making a suggestion to how they want to work through things, or what they can do and what they can't do. Because remember, that group is going to run itself. You're there just to make sure that it do what it's supposed to, unless you're taking a different leadership role, and then it becomes different. Evaluating your group. I know this can go a step further, not even evaluating a group, and I know it's coming up, but evaluating your members. That's when you get to see who played what role, and we'll get to roles in the back and things like that. And then terminating, understanding that group will come to an end. Making sure they have all the tools that they need to do all of the things that was taught on their own. Understanding that they grasped everything, and it would be an opportunity for them to adjourn and meet with each other and love on each other, and maybe get their numbers and be a support to one another. But terminating will come. Other names to be familiar with would be Henry Pratt, and that's another pioneer of group therapy, but that's all I've seen of him. And then Gene Adams is a prosecutor to the modern group work. He founded the model social work. So for some reason, social workers are after our neck. Not social workers, but like psychologists. And social workers in the line of the same thing. They like at counselors' neck. I don't know why. I don't know what we did to them, but yes, they want us cooked, like my son tell me. Okay, so now we already kind of talked about this. So group therapy initiated, and it flourished in the US due to shortage of individual therapists during World War II. See, you got it. Groups are definable memberships. There is the unity, and members share a sense of purpose together, right? Then there's different kind of groups. There's open groups, and then there's closed groups. Can someone tell me what they know about open groups?
Open groups, people can come and go. I mean, yeah, come and go. They come and go.
That's Miss Paula.
Yes.
I know your voice.
Closed groups, it's like you can once they close, once they start, that's it. The
That's
membership
it.
is there.
Right. In open groups, just like you said, Miss Paula, people can come and go as they're pleased. So open groups is not really good for a group to build cohesiveness with each other, because it's people coming in and out. People that have trust issues will not kind of like that. I don't know you. I'm not telling my business. I don't know them, and they leave and they come and they leave and they come. Open groups, like you said, no new members can come. I mean, new members can come providing new ideas and perspectives. New members are unaware of what they missed, so they might come in while we're in the norming stage, or maybe in the working stage, and they miss the whole forming and orientation and all of that. So it can be open, but it's totally up to you how you run the group. I remember in grad school that we had an assignment to find an open group and go sit in on one, which was very interesting. But like I said, I mean, you don't know what they talked about a week ago, and they know each other, and I don't know anybody, but yeah. Then closed groups. Well, you said already, Miss Paula, nobody is able to come in once it gets started. This is where trust and cohesiveness is at its best. However, with closed groups, people can leave. People have the right to leave. They can do whatever they want to. However, if so many people leave, you might not have a group. That's the only thing, the drawback about a closed group. Once they leave, nobody else can replace them, but everybody have the right to do whatever they want to. client autonomy. They have the right to make their own decisions on their health, their mental health. So if they leave, but just remember nobody else can come in. So you might lose some money or you might lose your group, either way. Let's just get straight to group sizes. So for adults, you want to look for anything 8. Okay, 8 is the highest. If you see any question that say 8 to 16, 8 to 7, 8 to 10, no, it'll be 8 and under. So for adults, it's 6 to 8. 8 is your stopping point. For small children, 3 to 4. I seen a practice question where it was like, and I can't remember if it was one me and you were doing together, Miss Paula, but you remember it said half of what an adult group would be, which
Mhm.
it was like it couldn't have been smaller or just give me the number, but basically, half of 8 would be 4. So just to throw that out there, like to see the way of the mind. For small children, 3 to 4, small groups. And then for adults, you want the time to be 90 minutes. Only for adults. For kiddos, for me, my experience with kiddos, I haven't seen it on here, but 30 minutes. Because they don't stay. You want to use all kind of play therapy with kids because they get bored, and you gotta keep being someone that makes them happy. So kids 3 to 4, throw in some play therapy, okay? And they give you all the information with play therapy. I have a dollhouse in my office, and you can see so many family dynamics and everything when they play with them dolls. Like you learn a lot, okay? And then time is up real quick. Like, all right, gotta go. Risky shift phenomenon. Anybody know what that is?
I've heard of it. I can't really think of the definition, but I've heard of it. Isn't it like,
Yes.
you change your opinion based on like what the group like says?
Yep, you at the game, I promise. It's more of those, think about when you was a teenager, right? You would not go TP somebody's house unless you was with a group, right? That's risky and that's fun. Would you do that if you was by yourself?
No.
No, it's weird. So basically what risky shift means is that the group would make decisions that's way more risky versus or risque versus an individual group member, right? So a concept that proposes a group decision is likely to be less conservative. So they're going to take more risks together versus someone one by themselves saying, let's do this, right? And then here's an example. Basically, what I just said, think of it this way. Would you agree that as a teenager, you were more likely to make riskier decisions when surrounded by a group of friends than you normally would have on your own? So, for an example, it might be group members in there that would not say something that was less conservative unless everybody else agreed to it. That's all. So risky phenomenon. Like I'll be a risk taker when I'm with a group. Then there's these little words right here that is very important. Um, Horizontal interventions mean whole. This is when you're going to address the whole group. Okay. Then there's a vertical intervention, and that's when you are addressing an individual member alone. Okay. You're just going to focus on the individual member. Or horizontal, you're going to focus on the group as a whole. Okay. Screening. Screening group members before a group would be the smartest thing you should do. Okay. You have to see who would fit in this group, who would not benefit in this group, who would mess up my group, who just do not have the means to trust anybody. So that wouldn't do us any good, right? Because by the time we get to the Norman stage and you can't be cohesive, then what I'm gonna do with you, you know? Or if you have someone coming in and want to do group, but you can see a very visual borderline personality disorder that is like strong, and then you kind of don't want that person to be in a group, but you can offer some individual counseling, not, if you can screen and say who is able to be in this group and who's able not to. Okay. So group leaders often prefer a private screening where it can just be like an interview process, right? Not a group, not a group sitting around and you talking to everybody and see if we can all get along. No, you kind of want to do some personal interview type screenings with group members. While this is not the most cost or time efficient thing, it will take some planning, but it gives the counselor and the client increased opportunity to exchange information. So for an example, if we don't pick that person that have a severe personality disorder, then they still have your information. And if they need some individual counseling, if you need to refer them out, if anything like that, they have it. Cohesiveness is the most important factor. So if we're looking at group members that look like they are not going to do good at being cohesive with other people, and that's mainly trusting people, because that's the biggest thing we need when we're looking at people. We need to see if they would eventually trust. If you can't trust, then you can't open up. And if you can't open up, what's the point of you being in a group, right? Maybe you need some individual counseling, and that's perfectly fine, The least important factor in a client's eligibility for a group would be their previous experience in other groups. We don't care. We're not Freud, and we don't care about your past, okay? We're more of a client-centered. We're like Rogers. You remember I said he's like the God-fearing man of therapy. You have a second chance. You can redo your life. You come in, everybody is welcome. Because remember, Rogers' dad was a pastor, okay? Just so you know, a little tidbit. And leaders may choose members they believe are likely to easily conform. You want them to break down and be okay and be able to trust, and to see if you got the interpersonal skills and that you can do this and be able to work with a group. Or would this person hinder your group? Now, there's going to be some restraints. There's going to be some class clowns. There's going to be people resistant. However, if they can conform, or if they can trust, or if you can see that cohesiveness can happen with them, then bring them in, and eventually their walls will break. But if there's some people you just cannot break, and that's okay. You just don't want them in your group. Any questions before we move on to stages? Are we good? We're learning? I gotta check in.
Yep,
Yeah.
you're doing good.
Yes, doing good.
Okay.
Love
Yes.
it.
Stages. Somebody tell me who started and created the stages. These stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Who was that person? Anybody know?
Tuck-
That was
Tuckman.
Tuckman's version is the easiest for me. Okay. However, there's Yalom and Corey that have theirs too. But first, let's go over Tuckman. For me to remember Tuckman's, you can do this memory device. It's cool. For me, I needed something crazy. So, you ready? Fish sticks, not pineapples. It's weird, but I like it. Fish sticks, not pineapples. Okay. Forming. Somebody tell me what happens in a forming stage.
The group is beginning.
It's beginning, it's starting to form, right? And then Yalom also have his, that's orientation. Okay. And you could just write this down somewhere just to keep it. So Tuckman, forming, Yalom, orientation, and Corey, initial. Okay. just to have it. Then storming, what happens in the storming part? Anybody know what happens around storming? What's happening? It's literally storming. They are fighting. Okay. This is conflict. They are, who do you think you are? They're fighting for positions because they kind of already got to know each other. Now they're scoping each other out. And now at this point, we're storming because we're fighting. Because I don't know you like that, who you think you talking to, you know, all of that. But that's okay. That's part of it. That is part of the process. So storming to Corey, it would be transition. It's the transition stage to Corey. And then to Yalom, it's the conflict. Okay. Then norming. This is where the group is starting to be normal. Okay. This is where relationships are forming. This is where cohesiveness is starting. Okay. Tuckman is norming. Corey, I'm lying. Yalom is the cohesiveness. Okay, this is where cohesiveness starts. So you might see a question that say, and what stage of group work will the group start to develop cohesiveness? It's in the norming stage. Okay. Then you have performing. Performing, that is Corey's word, is working. Performing, Tuckman. Working, that's Corey's. Okay. That is when the group is actually doing techniques, they're working on things, they're working through their problems, you know, because they're already cohesiveness already started. So they already started crying in front of each other. They already brought down their deep, dark secrets. All of that has already started. So at this point, they're working through it, right? And then there's adjourning, which is determination. So termination, that's Corey word, because Yalom only start with the 3. Just so you know. He only start with orientation for forming, conflict for storming, and then cohesiveness, and then he stops. Corey goes all the way through with Tuckman, okay? So adjourning is basically what's happening. The group is mourning. They are about to get to a point where they don't see each other as much as they did when we were in group. They're not going to be working through things together. They're not going to have that person who they clicked up with and see every day or see however long the group was and hugged, and some things they probably don't get in their lives outside of group. So it's kind of a sad moment, but at the same time, the work is done. You know, they learn these skills. It's time for them to go use the skills. It's time for them to be productive human beings and do what they came here for. Also, what's important is to let a group know about confidentiality. Now, confidentiality is important. However, in a group, we cannot, as a counselor, guarantee confidentiality. We cannot be with every group member every moment of the day that they might break confidentiality. We would let them know, though. It is encouraged. We do encourage you not to speak anybody's business outside of this group. However, I cannot assure you that someone might go, like, not gonna say anything. So confidentiality is encouraged, but it is very hard to keep track of it and make sure for me to give you assurance that nothing will get out, because it will. Okay, so that's ethical. Then there's types of group. Somebody name them for me.
Primary, secondary, and tertiary.
Tertiary. Yes.
Tertiary.
These are the types of groups. Okay. Before you form your group, you have to know what kind of group you're forming. So am I going to have a primary group that key primary preventive? Am I going to have a group, a psychoeducation group that is preventive? Like, am I going to have a group to prevent people from going through things, prevent teen pregnancy, prevent health problems, prevent things? And that's a primary group, okay? Then there's secondary group. Secondary group is when the group members has already experienced something, activating event, but you don't want it to go further. Okay? If I'm running a teen pregnancy group, the first group I talked about, I might want to prevent teen pregnancy, right? I want to talk about abstinence, wait until you're married, if it have to get there, maybe birth control, just be careful. But what if I'm talking to a group that already is pregnant? They already got there. So I'm going to run a secondary group. Okay. Secondary group means they already got themselves in trouble. We just don't want it to go further. Okay. So secondary groups, and this is a tip. What do you think a crisis hotline would be under a primary group or a secondary group? Crisis hotline.
I would say
Secondary?
It would be secondary. At first, you would think a crisis hotline because you're trying to stop a crisis, right? That it'll be preventative, it'll be primary. But a crisis can also be something has already happened and I'm like going crazy. So, yes, it'll be a secondary group. Okay, it'll be put in the secondary thing. Remember thinking twos, secondary, it's both preventive and remediation. So like I said before in the example, pregnant teens, they're already pregnant, but we want to prevent them from getting pregnant again after they have this baby, right? We want to help them with their health. Let them know that they need to eat right. You need to stop eating hot Cheetos, okay? The baby will be hurt if you keep smoking cigarettes. It's not okay. And then you have your tertiary. Tertiary is long term. This is for people who has been through the prevention, got in trouble secondary, and just keep getting it. Just keep going. Or this typically happens in mental health hospitals. They have long-term things that they're working out. This is your rehabilitation programs. These are people who have drug addiction problems, long-term problems, PTSD, mental things. This is tertiary, okay? This would, most of the practice questions that I've seen, most of them have been like rehabilitation places or, things that you can see long term. Even for secondary, it would be a routine checkup. You would think it'll be preventative, but it's actually a secondary thing. Keep going to the doctor to make sure that, say you had cancer but you want to keep going to make sure it's down, or you had high blood pressure at one time, but you want to keep making sure that it's down. That's secondary. So it's something that happened before and you don't want it to happen again. So it's preventative and it's remediated. But primary, this is trying to stop it before it even comes. Okay. Then you have those homogeneous and heterogeneous groups. Homo, together, same, right? The same group, same race, same age, socioeconomic status, similar illness, symptoms, they are going through the same problems, right? Heterogeneous, people that are going through different problems, and they are different in ages, different in economic statuses. You see most of the heterogeneous group kind of in AA. There's people from all walks of life. This can be a lawyer who is struggling with cocaine addiction. And then this can be a student that's struggling with the same thing. They're not on the same level, but they have it's an addiction, and they might be addicted to crack and he might be addicted to coke, but it's, whatever. So hetero, different, homo, same. Then here are the types of groups. There's counseling groups. The purpose is for growth, development, removing barriers, prevention. Group members have problems they're trying to address in group form. Then you have guidance, that's your school counselors. The purpose is to provide information. Most of the time you see guidance counselor as school counselors, okay? Um, all in a school setting. It's from elementary to high school, and you're working with all different kind of problems. Lord help me, Jesus. And then there's that psychoeducational. This is a preventative thing. Psychoeducation, these are people coming to get information, skill building. This can be preventative, it's growth oriented, or it could be remedial. So it could be a secondary, but it's all psychoeducational. You're trying to learn before either things get worse or before you even make a step, right? It may be found in social service agencies, in mental health settings, or in universities. Then there's that psychotherapy. That is actual therapy groups, okay? The purpose is for remediation, treatment, a personal reconstruction, usually found in mental health agencies, clinics, hospital. Those are like your psych wards and stuff like that, that you're working with schizophrenic kind of people, someone with a severe personality disorder, someone with all of that, okay? Self-help groups, those are your AAs. Remember, these are not professionally ran. These are by people who went through the problem as well and kind of took a leadership role to start groups because they know how important it is, right? It could be weight loss, it could be Alcohol Anonymous, it can be Cocaine Anonymous, anything like that. These are your self-help groups. That is a support system. Then there's structured groups, and they focus on central theme. It's short and sweet, straight to it. We know what we're coming here for. This is what we're gonna do. It is what it is. They learn the skills and they get it over with. Examples can be learning a job skill or navigating through loss and grief. Remember, what's the 5 stages of grief and who was it? Who created it? Since it's there, we might as well study.
The 5 stages of grief, was it it's not Kubler-Ross, is it?
It is Kubler-Ross.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What's the stages? Somebody gave me a romantic today that was perfect, and I'm gonna tell you.
Dabna.
Yes. Was it you?
No, it wasn't me, but I was in your class this morning.
Okay,
it was-
yes, now you see?
It was me. I will tell you, it's Dabda.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and
Yeah.
say it, please, because I'm gonna forever remember that.
Yeah, Dabda. That was the best way
Mhm.
for me to learn it. I think I learned it.
Dabda.
I think Dr. Pam may have suggested it in one of her videos, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay? That is denial, right? Well, we got denial, anger, bargaining. Then you have depression. They go through depression, and then it's acceptance. And that's by Ross. Kubler-Ross. Good job. And then task groups. Task groups are working groups, specific tasks accomplished together. That's what we're doing right now. It's a study group, right? We have a task that we're trying to attack together, so we're task groups. And then there's T groups. The T in group stands for training group. Training groups. This seek to improve and observe interpersonal skills among members, okay? It examines how each member function. It is training. This typically are groups where you see at the beginning, or if the boss kind of want to do some kind of team building or something like that, or if they have a new system they want to roll out and we all have to learn how to use it. There we go. How boring. Then there's the leadership styles. What do you think your leadership style would be? Just thinking. Anybody have a specific leadership style that they lean towards? I mean, if you want to say you're an authoritarian type person, that's on you. I love it, okay? But the most effective, the most favored and desirable leadership style I want you to know is democratic style, okay? A lot of people like democratic style. I have a mix of authoritarian and democratic because I don't know if I have a control problem or I just like things to go in order. But I also love to have the input of everybody because I want everybody to feel included. And most of you know that. Like if you don't have this, I'm gonna get it for you. I just need to know that you need it. So autocratic, just what I said, that leadership is full control, which is the best one because it gets things done, believe it or not. So it's best for quick decisions. If we need the group to make a quick decision on how we're going to do something, you need to take an autocratic leadership role. It may cause some resentment, some transference might be there. You might be acting like somebody mama or somebody they know, or if they had a authoritarian, not an authoritarian, but an authoritative kind of parent, then it might, rub them the wrong way. Okay. Democratic, like I said, everybody has an input. It's good. Everybody have a say in how we're gonna do things. It is not the most effective, but is the most desired. All right. Laissez-faire, literally lazy. There's no leadership style at all. Everybody gonna run themselves. I'm just gonna sit back and watch. It's a hands-off approach, but if you screened really good and got really good members, they would run themselves and you don't have to. So that kind of would build the best results in the line of they did it without you telling them to do it. So then that builds some kind of encouragement and some confidence within them as a group to say, we did it. So it's a positive, negative thing. It's up to you how much time you have. So regardless of a leadership style, all good leaders demonstrate empathy and caring. Then there's group specialists. They often classify group leaders as either a process leader or product leader. Okay. That's basically one of these have a lot to do with a behavior outlook. Okay. So for the process leader, they focus on the interaction among group members. Okay. So for an example, John always responds with criticism when Mike speaks to him. Or you can be the leader that's a product leader. The product here is a desired outcome or behavioral goal. So you're looking at the behavior they're giving off. John will know that he's accomplished his goal when his anxiety is low enough to schedule his NCE. Okay, it's the behavior and what we're going to focus on to get you there. So that's a product leader, and then it's a process. Process all about feelings and how that person is. Product would be more of a authoritarian, like what you want to do. Okay, you'll know you do this when you hit this, which I like personally. Oops, sorry. All right. Some groups have more than one leader. Remember, was that this morning or yesterday when I was talking about co-leaders, facilitation? I forgot. But here's the pros and cons to it. The cons would be if we're on two different pages, like you over here trying to do behavior therapy and I'm trying to be all existential over here. We're going against each other. First and foremost, we have to lay out who is the leader and who's the co-leader. Okay. Do you want to take a co-leader role or do you want to take a leader role? I personally believe that we should go out, have lunch, and get a feel for each other if I don't know this counselor, but we want to run a group together because I feel like that's a business plan or a business opportunity that you want to get with someone. I don't know how it works. It could be in your agency. Who knows? But as long as we're on the same page, I think we'll be okay because if a member pay attention that there's some tension between the counselors, we can get anything done. They're not going to respect us, all kinds of things. All hell will break loose, right? But the good part about it You have more than one eye. One of you can sit on this side with the team, and one of you can sit on this side. We can blend in. If my co-leaders start to see that I'm having some counter transference and not the kind where I attracted to somebody, maybe I'm getting annoyed. Okay. Maybe I can't stand when he comes or when she comes. I'm happy she's not here. And if I notice I'm happy when somebody's not here, then maybe I'm having some kind of counter transference. And the best part about that is that co-leader can take the lead and I can sit back and relax because I'm one up fighting her. And I don't want to do that, right? I wouldn't fight anybody, but you know. They can take a role. If you're sick, you don't have to call the whole group off. They can go in for you. Just say, Brittany's missing today. It's just gonna be me, guys, but that's okay. The group will still run and they will still get to do whatever they want to. So, and then it's just two minds are better than one, and I think it'll be cool, and it's nice. It's some pros and it's also some cons. Side notes, leaders help promote the universality part, letting everybody know that we all deal with some problems. They might not be the exact same problems, but we all have problems, right? And it's also called mutualation. That one. I can't even see that. I'm letting somebody in. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, mutuality.
Mutuality. It's mixed with the brown, and I can't see that. All right. Then there's leaders should always be mindful of proximity. Your spacing. Remember I said if you have a co-facilitator, it might be cool if we're all sitting in a circle, one sit on this side and one sit on that side, but we're blending with the group. It never wants to be a us versus them. We're the counselors and you are the members, so it's like that. Sometimes that does not call for group cohesiveness, so blending in with them, being with them. If it's a group with kids, sit on the floor with them. It's good. The leader will, and also how close you can pay attention to group members, how close, whoever form groups or whatever, you can tell how close they sit to each other, if they like cool with this person or who they always go sit with. And you start to see when you do your observation or your evaluation, you can pay attention who connects together, who eventually will make somebody the scapegoat and things like that, which we'll get to in a minute. Leaders will ideally sit across from one another, not beside, to reduce the chances of an us versus them. So basically what I'm saying, like a circle, or I wouldn't want them to be like this and you and your co-leader like this. Just bring it together. People sit closer together when they're similar in social status, age, race, ethnicity, or modes of the way that they dress, if they dress fancy versus casual. And then leaning in while facing the client, and this is overall counseling, period. I think I talked about that in my last group. Leaning into certain cultures or to certain people, maybe leaning in, sitting high and doing something, some of them can take offense to it. So I think that's the big reason why Rogers talked more about congruence and just relax a little bit and be authentically there, and don't sit there like this, but kind of like understand what they're saying. But sitting there with a pen and paper and looking at them, that's very intimidating, and certain cultures will find that harmful. So yeah. And then there's these roles. These roles are not giving like to the people, to your members. These are roles that you and maybe your co-facilitator just know about them, right? And these people take on the roles without them even knowing that they're taking them on. So then there's the joker. This is your class clown. Most of the time, what do you know about class clowns? Anybody?
that they acting like that because they're hiding something or don't want to expose themselves in the group.
Yes, they are giving some resistance. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna make everybody laugh because I don't need y'all to see me crying when I'm a cry for, you know. They can well, you see a joker, it's just some sarcastic things that they're saying here. So this joker here say, can I interest you in some sarcastic distractions as at an inappropriate time? So someone probably is having a breakthrough, right? And here he come making a joke. And it's like, why? You know, they're just now opening up. And that's when a counselor will go and block. You'll block someone like that. Then there's the harmonizer. The harmonizer is the person that just keep the group harmonizing. Like, can we all just get along? Like, I just love when we get together and do, I think I'm a harmonizer. I love when everybody's getting along. I hate confrontation. That is just not my thing. Then there's the storyteller that just go on and never gets to the point. And you like, okay, can you save us some time? Because your story is just not ending, okay? Then there's the energizer, the one that's like, come on, y'all, we got this, come on, let her talk, she got it, or whatever. Then the poor scapegoat. The scapegoat is the person that everybody just picks on and blame everything on. Eventually the scapegoat would need some assertiveness training, but and that's another question, but just know they would need some assertiveness training, learn how to speak up for themselves and understand that it's not okay for people to do this for you, but you also have to put up some boundaries and work with some other things, right? Then there's the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper low-key wants to be the leader. The gatekeeper wants to be the counselor. So the gatekeeper would, I wouldn't want to call him a butt kisser, but kind of would be the butt kisser to the counselor. Like, I made sure everybody sat down before you got here. Yeah, Johnny and Jake was going at it, and I told them not before the group, guys. So we just have to get it together. And I made sure all the refreshments were done, and we have plenty of water, so we can get started whenever you're ready. That's a gatekeeper. Then there's the follower. The follower do anything anybody say. If y'all want to, he don't have anything for himself. It is what it is. They start acting up, he gonna act up too. All those things. Then there's the interrogator. The mean girl or the mean person that always questioning when somebody's telling their story, and the hardest person or maybe the last person to find cohesiveness in the group, that would be your person. And then here are the roles that I was talking about that I'm gonna pull up on a different document because it doesn't break it down enough for me here. And this might be all you need to know, but for me, I need to know all the information just in case. Yeah, I just need to know, right? And I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I'll pull it up. Task roles. These roles guides the group towards making decisions and taking action. And these are positive roles. So in this 3-category deal, it is roles, and I'll pull them up, but you're able to pinpoint what a positive role, like a task role. These are people that help within the group. And then there's maintenance roles, and they promote the supportive, nurturing atmosphere, like your harmonizers and the energizer and things like that. And then you got the self-serving roles. These are the jokers, the interrogator, all of the follower even. And these are negative roles that would hinder the process. And this is where you would have to do a lot of blocking, right? And then these two things, this right here, sociogram. The sociogram is a map, just like a genogram. However, the genogram is going to map out generation, like it's a family tree of generations. This is literally everybody that's in your group. And what this is when you're doing evaluation, you're just grouping out who likes who. And that's when you want to pay attention, who sits close to each other. who stay far apart, or why John feel this way when Mike start to talk. And all you're doing here is just mapping out who do what, why, who get along, things like that, because you might have to do some kind of facilitating when you make them to do a technique together or work a little bit together, or you might have to link them two together with their similar problems, or things like that. So a sociogram is pretty good. And that's all for that visual, but I wanted to bring up one other thing. Anybody have any questions? No questions? Are we okay?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So this is what I was talking about. This is something that I made, and I'll just give it to you. But you see the roles of group leaders? And I don't want to confuse, this just extra information that I think would be important for everyone to know. So the group leader play a critical role in facilitating the group process, providing structure and guiding group members toward achieving their goals. There's a facilitator role. In the role, the leader ensures that the group runs smoothly. For an example, in a therapy group, the leader might ask open-ended questions to encourage self-reflection and discussion. There's a model role, and the leader serves as a model for behavior. Remember, I said some of the members have to look at the counselor to see how to model certain behaviors, right? These are actually leadership, the roles of a counselor. And it wasn't in there, but I just thought that it was important because I wanted to know everything about group. For an example, if a member shares something vulnerable, the leader might respond with empathy or validation, modeling how to handle sensitive disclosures, For example, if somebody throw out that they kill somebody and you're like, ooh, but a model role would not spaz out because everybody's gonna spaz out. Like, what are you talking about? First, you want to check on everybody, make sure they're okay, and then tell the person, I know that was tough for you to let out. Thank you for sharing. How does that make you feel? Anything like that. Then there's a mediator. The leader manage conflicts between group members. So all these roles is going to be a role at one point all throughout the whole process. So then there's a mediator. The leader manage conflicts between group members and help them navigate disagreements. This will happen in what stage? Where is conflict? In what stage?
The storming stage.
Storming stage. There you
And what
go.
was the other one for the other one? Let me see. It was storming or
Conflict.
conflict. Okay.
Yep. And who said conflict? It was either between Yalom or Corey. Conflict was Yalom.
Yalom. Okay.
Yep. And remember, he only stopped at 3. And then there's the educator. Of course, we got to be the educator there. The leader provides educational input about the topic, issues being addressed in the group. For an example, in a support group for individuals with anxiety, the leader might teach relaxation techniques and coping skills. Then there's the supporter, what we're there to do. For an example, the leader might provide reassurance and encouragement to a member who is struggling to share in group. The group leader provides emotional support and validation for group members. That's our sole purpose of being there. Then you got to be an observer, remember? Because once you do your sociogram, you have to observe who did what. So all of these are part of you being a competent group counselor, group leader. So observing, the leader carefully observe group interactions and dynamics to identify patterns of behavior. If we notice one person is always getting into it with somebody, then maybe we need to focus a little bit on that person because there might be some resistance going on. Maybe this person has depression, and maybe we need to give them a Beck depression scale to see where it is, like, do we need to work on something a little bit more? Because everybody is our client at this moment. And that sounds stressful. then it's decision maker. And then that's when if we have to make a quick decision about something and no one is coming to lines of doing it, then we might have to take that authoritative role, leadership role, because we don't have to stay in one leadership role. You can bounce. But if you have to be authoritative at that moment, say, okay, we need to make a decision now, then decision making is the best leader, the role. And then the group dynamics. When you speak of dynamics, it's the norms. It's how we're working through things. It's the group. It's the family. It's the homeostasis in this group. This is how we roll. This is our rules. This is what we do. So then there's the group cohesiveness. We talked about it. I don't have to talk about it again. But that's when everybody starts to have some sense of togetherness. And we went through the storming stage and now we're norming. This is our normal. Roles within a group that we establish who is who to ourselves. They don't know their roles, but we know. And those are, the gatekeepers, the jokers, the harmonizers, and things like that. We know the roles. They don't know that they have these roles, but we know them, right? And then there's the norms, the group norms, unwritten rules. These are the rules that we have created in our group. This is us. Group conflict in the storming stage. Group stages, we know them now. I don't know if you like my semantic, but I'm always say fish sticks, not pineapples. And then the subgroups and cliques, that's what I said. You'll start to notice who sit together, who talk a little bit more together or whatever. And of course, in a group, there's always going to be some cliques, subgroups. When I talk to my fifth graders, the girls, they're always upset because they're in a clique and somebody is more friends than another. And I tell them, Miss Haywood, do not do drama, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. If you're gonna be in a girl group, you're going to expect this to happen. Now it's totally up to you. If you want to sit and deal with it, or you just go with your friend because you have another friend, just be with your friend. You don't have to be a part of a clique, but I know how important it is to be in a group, but just know this is always gonna happen. And that's how I'll talk to them. I'm not gonna babyfy you. I don't like girl drama. And it's like, look, this is how it is. That's why Miss Haywood never had groups of friends, okay? But they get it and they like it. And that's all I have for y'all tonight. I hope it was okay.
Yes, very helpful.
It was
Very.
great. Thank
Yes.
you, Brittany.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody have any question? No worries, Taylor. I recorded it.
Brittany, can you send me the link from this morning? Because I was at work. I didn't even know you did a group.
Yes. Here, y'all know the drill. Email me and I'm gonna send it to you through.
Yeah, I sent you an email.
I thought I sent it to you.
Yeah,
too.
me too.
This morning. Well, so I don't take my phone into the prison. So
I sent it to your email when I saw it. Check and see.
Oh,
So
So
I sent it.
your group this morning, I missed it too because I was at work. So I'm gonna
Just
see.
email me. Email
Okay.
me, and I will send the link. So one link gonna go to all the links. Like if you click that
Oh,
link, just
okay.
go to the channel. Yeah, just go to the
Okay.
channel and you get
Now,
to see
can you
all of
send me
them.
the information from this morning?
Yes.
that you did and this evening because I got on late. I just
Yep.
got out of prayer
Yep.
meeting.
I will send it all.
what was your group this morning, Brittany?
It was social cultural.
Oh,
I
wow.
searched your name on YouTube, Brittany, and it came up.
Did you? Oh Lord. Now I'm gonna send y'all this too. We don't have to go through it, but I did create like a little test. We can do
Okay.
5 of them if y'all don't mind, just to make sure we got it. So, which of the following is the primary focus of the forming stage of group development? Let's just do 3 of them just to see.
My people, get their oatmeal. Shut their mouth. See, groups getting to know each other
Yeah, I
and
think it's
establishing
C.
trust.
So let's see, primary focus of forming. So that's the beginning, right? So group members beginning to challenge. Hold on 1 second.
Not going to the house, I have to call my damn.
1 second. Okay, there we go. Group members beginning to challenge the leader and each other. No, that's more of your storming, right? Conflict. Group members working together to achieve the group goals. That's in the working stage, right? Group members get to know each other and establish initial trust. The group becomes cohesive and begins to address deeper issues. The cohesiveness happens in the norming stage. So yes, C is the answer. Good job. According to Yalom's therapeutic factors, which of the following is the most important factor for the success of group therapy? A, B, what is my name? So we know A, that's just a release of emotions, right? I don't think that's the most important to be screaming. And then there's universality. Do we remember what universality was?
Feeling a part of the group, like you belong.
Yes. And understanding that everybody go through something, like you're not the only one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then you remember C, altruism? You remember that's doing something for someone without
helping
expecting
someone else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then installation of hope. Installation of hope is at the end of group. That's when you just know that there is hope. So for group therapy, what would you say?
Say B, universal.
B,
Yes.
universality.
Y'all are right. B, universality. For group therapy, I need to know that everybody is going through something too. Like, I'm not the only one, right? But when you come into a group and you're like, "Ooh, I know I wasn't crazy," then that's important. We can, let's see, in group counseling, the gatekeeper role is typically played by a member who A, dominates the group and prevents others from speaking, facilitates the group progress and ensures everyone has a chance to participate. Now remember, there are many counselors. C, provides emotional support to others but does not participate fully. Or D, challenges other members and question their beliefs. There are many counselors, they want to be the leaders, so what would they kind of give off? These are the ones you probably would love too, because they'll make sure things are taken care of. To be honest, I would use them.
So I would say B.
I would say B too. You are absolutely correct. Facilitate the group progress and ensure everyone has a chance to participate. Those are people that are not afraid to speak up to like the joker or to the interrogator and let them know, let him talk. It's his turn. Because they secretly want to be the leader, but it's great, right? And I'll go to another one if y'all want to, but we don't have to. I know time. Let's just do one more. So a counselor is leading a group for individuals experiencing anxiety. Okay, when we think of anxiety, think about, so when I think of anxiety, I think about the behaviors I give off. I think about how I'm thinking. I think about what I can't do and all of those things. During a session, the counselor encourages members to share their fears and discuss how those fears impact their daily lives. The counselor's approach is most closely aligned with what theory? Remember, anxiety. When you have anxiety, you're doing something, right? You're acting on something. You're giving off some kind of behavior, some kind of thinking. You got faulty thinking going on. Think about that when you see anxiety. So, A, person-centered, remember, that's straight up person-centered. That is straight up, the counselor is not in a didactic role. They're not a teacher, they're more of a friend. Everybody's welcome. You're going to lead your session. If I had anxiety, I don't think I want to lead my session, right? Like, I'm going crazy here. I don't want to do that.
You got things in the chat.
Yes. Then the answer is C. Cognitive behavior therapy, you have to switch up thinking. And what I've noticed, cognitive behavior therapy is used in a lot of high anxiety, major depressive disorder. They're going to use cognitive behavior therapy. They're going to use it, your bipolar or your all of that, that's kind of DBT, but yes. Remember Gestalt therapy, that's that here and now, which could trip you up with anxiety too, because Gestalt therapy, that's when they want to bring the client aware of where they are, what they're dealing with, what they're feeling. But that's more of a mindfulness, awareness type thing, a lot of grounding. But that's not going to fix the problem of having anxiety. That's just going to teach you some relaxation techniques, right? And then Adlerian, I have anxiety. I'm not feeling inferior. Like I'm it's bigger than that. But yes, see, good job. All right. Anybody have any questions? I can send this too because it goes from multiple choice questions to true and false questions. This is gonna touch your knowledge. Short answer questions.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Send me that.
And I'll send y'all this. And I kind of did something like this for each subject. I even have it for the social, cultural one too, that I think I sent this morning too. But when I do the study sessions, I created one for every subject. So we should be good.
Yeah, Brittany, it didn't come, but you said that, but I do have the one from the DSM study guide thing.
Okay, I'll send it to you again too.
But the link though, you said that YouTube link that goes to all the stuff that you record.
Yep.
Okay.
All you have to do is click the channel.
Okay, so yeah, I just need the resources.
That's okay. I'll send it to you again.
Thank you.
But yes, good job, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Anybody have any questions before we go? Or are we good?
When your next group, Gail?
Tomorrow.
What time tomorrow?
7:30.
Okay, good.
Wait, is it tomorrow? Let me make sure. I know I've been running them since I've been on spring break.
Okay.
Let me see. So group was today. Tomorrow, I'm doing assessments. And then Saturday, we're going to do professional orientation.
Great.
Okay.
Do you do Eastern time?
I typically just do Central, but that's why I recorded just in case you're not able to make it, or if something happened, you can always go back and just watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I know it's hard for everybody to just hop on and just be ready. It's things that happen. So I recorded for everybody just to make sure you can have it too. And then from the recordings, you will already have my email address, and you can always email me and I'll just send everything to you.
Your assessment, will that be one that you did with that content of the stuff? I mean, that you've already done that I've joined in before, or you got some more stuff?
I got some. I got different stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got some more stuff. I mean, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. I ain't gonna.
Okay, that works. Okay, but yeah, okay, that works. Thank you.
Y'all just email me and I'll send it.